Hi, my name is Debbie. I'm making this video for the 2017 W Bad event that occurs on July 11th. Worldwide Benzodiazepine Awareness Day was created to bring awareness to people about the iatrogenic illness of benzodiazepine withdrawal syndrome. I am a survivor of BWS. I am also a benzo warrior. I have had a very long and rugged road with benzodiazepines, with my first experience being in 1985, taking Valium when I had lost a child. I took it as prescribed, and it was only for short-term use, the way that it's supposed to be used, the way it's supposed to be prescribed. In 1989, I went through a divorce and I was working as a landscaper, and one day I was inside of a long column of arborvitae, a big hedge, cleaning it out, and I had a panic attack. And I couldn't breathe, and my heart was racing so bad, and I drove myself to the nearest urgent care and was given my first dose of Xanax. That was the beginning. I've made some notes, and I have to refer to them because one of the problems with benzodiazepines and long-term use is they do cause problems with cognition, with being able to track, with being able to follow. There is brain damage that is done to the neural pathways. So bear with me while I do this, please. In 1993, I had a back injury and was prescribed pain medications, muscle relaxers, and Valium again. And I took them as prescribed for 3 weeks, laying on the couch, miserable, depressed, almost hopeless for a little back injury, because these medications I now know all put together is a recipe for depression and hopelessness. I went to my primary care physician because I was taking those from a workman's comp doctor. And when I went to my primary care physician, he said, you know, this is not the Debbie I know, because I was always up and moving and going and working and active. I had 3 small children, and I was a busy person with my business and did PTA and Cub Scouts and very much an overachiever. But it wasn't like me to lay on the couch, and he knew it, and so he said, throw them away. And I did, and I started physical therapy, and I was back up and running. Then in 1994, I developed an impulse disorder that manifested in compulsive gambling. I, of course, became depressed because I had always overcome anything I'd needed to before that point in my life. Always. But I couldn't beat that. I didn't know what to do. It took over. It was so fast. And it led to severe depression. And so I went, at my family's urging, to a counselor and my doctor, and they all agreed I needed an antidepressant, that I had a chemical imbalance. Well, there is research now showing there is no such thing. But I took the medications as prescribed, and I got worse. And then in 1990, sorry. Oh, no. Then in 1998, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I'd been in pain. I could never sleep. I was having headaches. I'd gained weight. I had gained a lot of weight. And I'd had mono, and at the same time that I had mono and diverticulitis, I was taking, because of the fibromyalgia, medications such as Xanaflex, which is for muscle spasticity, and it very much affects the GABA receptors, just like benzodiazepines. I also was on Ambien, which is a different class, but it also works on the GABA receptors. And then I was on pain medications and occasional Xanax. Then, when I got sick with the diverticulitis, they put me on Cipro, which is the fluoroquinoline, and fluoroquinolines should never be mixed with benzodiazepines. They cause horrific, horrific side effects and symptoms, and I was so sick on these medications. I was terribly sick, and no one ever told me that they should not be mixed. Through these last years, in the late 90s, I had developed really severe chronic insomnia. And I used to be able to sleep anywhere. I was a great sleeper. But after being on and off these medications, and I just didn't sleep anymore. In 2004, I was injured in a car accident. I was on pain meds. I was on muscle relaxers. My son was in Iraq, and one of the physicians, I was a nurse by this time. I had gone to school in 2000 to 2002 to become an LPN. And my son was in Iraq, and I had another panic attack at work one time, and so one of my doctors that I worked with said, well, I'll write you for some Xanax. So there it was again, but then I got diverticulitis again, and here comes the Cipro again. My life really spiraled out of control after that time. Making decisions became harder. I couldn't think clearly. I never slept. I was always anxious. I didn't have any idea about tolerance or about kindling. I'd been on and off these medications and had no clue. Then in 2010, my impulse disorder of gambling had become so bad. I was at the end. I was suicidal, which I'd had struggles with suicidal ideation ever since the first time I took Cipro combined with a benzodiazepine. But no one had ever looked at that combination until I came off the medications and have done my own research. So I went to treatment for gambling in 2010, and I was put on Effexor, Ativan, Ambien, and my life got worse. My health got worse. My sleeping got worse. And then I got another injury at work, and that just was like it sent me over the edge. My doctor said, you can't go back to work. Mind you, I'd been missing lots of work for years because I never slept. And I hurt so bad. So in 2011, I had to leave my position as a registered nurse. I had gone back to school again and got my degree, but I had to leave it because I physically couldn't I had so many troubles. My stomach hurt. I was having diarrhea. I never slept. I was anxious. I couldn't make decisions. I couldn't think. I wasn't safe to be taking care of people. So my doctor took me off work and said, you need to try to get disability. I filed for short and long-term disability through my work, went through a big fight, and in the meantime became homeless. Except that I found someone, or somebody found me and said, come live with them. So I did. I didn't have any health care for about a year, but I had help to get my medication. The person that I was living with helped me, and my doctor kept my prescriptions going for the Percocet and for the Ativan, and I couldn't afford the Effexor, so I just went off of it. And then my life kind of fell apart again, and I finally got Medicaid and started seeing a nurse practitioner, and she started the medications. And I had told her when I first went, I really want to go as holistically as possible, and oh my gosh, we went the complete other extreme. She had me trying Savella. She tried every medication she could think of. Till I was finally, in 2013, I was on Effexor, oxycodone, Ativan, Zyrtec, Flonase, Lamotol, Flexeril, Orobaxin, Albuterol, Benadryl, ibuprofen, acetaminophen, Imodium, multiple supplements. And I was in pain. I was depressed. I couldn't think. I couldn't sleep. It was really a mess. And I realized that this isn't sustainable, and the medications were toxic, and they were destroying my life. And so I started tapering off with the blessing of my nurse practitioner. I kind of took it into my own hands. I was using some alternative methods with good success. I also, in 2015, found out I had food allergies, and getting my diet worked out started to really help me be able to think better as I tapered off all these medications. In May of 2016, I had tapered off of everything. I had been taking 60 to 90 milligrams of oxycodone and 3 milligrams of Ativan daily. And I had tapered down on May 10th, 2016 to taking an occasional 10 milligram oxycodone and 1 milligram Ativan, and I was on the Effexor. And I decided I was done with the opiates. And I am very proud to say I've not had to take an opiate since that day. But I did go into post-acute withdrawal syndrome. And I had expected it to some degree. But it wasn't like when I went through gambling withdrawal. I didn't crave the medications. I didn't go to extreme measures trying to get the medications. I never had. I'd always taken them as prescribed. I was dependent on them. When I'd have times I'd miss them because my doctor wasn't around and I didn't get my prescription filled or whatever, I was miserable. I was so sick. But it was a physiological sickness. It wasn't a craving of the pills or a high or a buzz or anything like that. It was just my body reacted. Then in July, I had a prescription for Ativan, and I decided on July 12th not to get it filled. I had my last Ativan on July 12th, and I decided not to get it filled. Probably not the wisest thing to do. I wouldn't recommend it. It was painful. It was very painful. I didn't sleep for 7 days solid. I ended up in the emergency room with my sodium depleted because I was drinking so much because I was so thirsty. I had so many symptoms. I was flipping out. I was fearful. I had paranoia. I had pain. I had nausea. I had diarrhea. I had visual disturbances, muscle rigidity. I rocked, akathisia. I couldn't sit still. I had to rock. I had so many symptoms, and I was alone up on a hill with a lot of stressful things going on, and nobody was listening. And I was scared, and it was very terrifying, the things that were going on around me, and no one was listening. They all treated me like I was crazy, but I was sick. People that have benzodiazepine withdrawal syndrome can't help sometimes the way that they're behaving, the way things go, their actions, their symptoms. We can't help it, and nobody is listening. And I did have moments of psychosis after jumping off. I ended up in the hospital. I went to the emergency room, and they gave me Ativan again. And I took it for 3 days and slept, and then I stopped sleeping, and I wasn't going to go back to this. I did not want these medications anymore. I wanted to start healing my brain, and I started researching, and I found benzo buddies and benzodiazepine awareness, and I started learning what had happened to me and how I have an iatrogenic illness. People say, well, how did you let that happen to you? You were a nurse. You knew about those pills. Well, yes, I did know about those pills, but I also wasn't being offered any other help. And I did have physical pain. And I did not sleep. And I did have anxiety because of the medications, and no one ever helped me. Which is why I'm making this video. People need to understand. This is terrible. We lose, some of us lose everything. I lost my home. I lost friends. I lost family. I lost myself, but I'm finding myself now. Now that it's almost a year, I have to say, I'm a pretty tough cookie. Going through homelessness, being alone through this, having no money, struggling to earn money. People say, how have you done it? Well, I can tell you what has helped me. These are the things that have helped me. I eat a really healthy organic diet. I eat lots of fruits and vegetables. I eat organic grass-fed meats. I stay away from sugar. I don't eat any processed foods. I don't have caffeine. I also have made certain to have fresh air, sunshine when possible, but always fresh air, and interact with nature a little bit every day. Take a walk. Go get the mail. But when you do, stop and notice that bird chirping or that spider nest that's in the corner under the mailbox. Connecting with nature, being outside, helped me get grounded when my brain would spiral out of control. I also used a lot of YouTube meditations, sleep so glad I sleep now. A very big thing is acceptance. And it's a hard pill to swallow, let me tell you. I've lost so much. Years, relationships, my career, family, belongings, myself. It's a real hard pill to swallow, but it's the only way. What's been done is done. And however sick I am today, it's how sick I am today. I'm doing well. I'm doing much better, but I still have symptoms. I still have numbness and tingling in my feet and my hands. I still sometimes can't track, as you've seen, keeping myself focused, reading, writing, making decisions. I still struggle, but I am getting better. And that brings me to the last thing that has made the huge difference in my healing, and that is gratitude. Even at my darkest hours, I stopped and found out what I had to be grateful for. My dog, my little beat up truck that has a canopy so I could be out of the sun or out of the rain. The kind souls on the various benzo sites. You all saved my life. And that's why I'm doing this. People suffer. People are suffering with this. So if you know someone that maybe is having problems and you don't know, and maybe they're taking a benzodiazepine and they need to become aware. And if someone's coming off them and they're struggling, oh, please, please have patience. Please become educated. Please be gentle. We need this to be shared. And we need you to care. Thank you so much.